Samurai Jack, episode 9. Only one more episode after this, and for this particular episode, I'm sure a lot of you are as depressed as I am about it. But before we get into that, I want to just talk about the episode overall. Now, for the most part, I felt like it was a little bit lackluster compared to the rest of the season. I think it was better than last episode, which felt like a filler episode. It was silly and was only there to kind of show a developed relationship, even though I did feel like it was a little too fast and underdeveloped personally. While I was watching this episode, it just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. It left off immediately after the last episode ended, and there was kind of a little bit of a humorous thing with them spitting up the stuff that was kind of gross. Maybe they felt they needed a little bit of comedy to mix in with the later depressing moments. But Jack and Ashi feel like they need to get cleaned up, so Ashi looks around in Jack's gi to change out of that and clean that up. They show how Jack gets himself cleaned up, but they don't show how Ashi does it, but she finds some way to do it. He finds like an open pipe or something. And a moment that I thought was really great was when Jack was in the pool like Ashi was in the waterfall, or the water coming from the pipe. She turns the corner and sees him naked, but unlike when he saw her naked, he didn't, he turned his head and blushed, and she just looked full on wide-eyed and even smiled. I thought that was a really great moment and showed the differences in their characters, how she doesn't shy away from the nudity and sexuality kind of stuff as much as he would, or as much as he did in the last week's episode. So they were still kind of shy with their kissing and being around each other and stuff like that, and I just felt like they did enough of that in the last episode. Kind of let's move on from that and get on with the story. And there was some cool moments of imagery when Jack is looking in the reflection of himself and the beard's back, everybody, even if for only a brief moment. And I thought that was really interesting and started something with Jack's mentality with this new blossoming relationship that he's having and the conflict that he's having with his mission to go destroy Aku and or return to the past. Because if he returns to the past, destroys Aku, then it's going to stop everything from existing, and it's going to stop her from existing as well, and he would have to leave her anyway. Now, he wouldn't have to if he stayed in the future and just killed Aku, which is kind of what I'm predicting is going to happen. I'm thinking that he's not going to be able to return to the past. Because in real life, we can't change the past. We can only look back on it with our memories, like it was showed in this episode with Jack telling her the story of his childhood, how he used to look across his land when he was a kid. And I'm thinking that might be a little bit of foreshadowing for not going back into the past. Same with a little bit later when we see a certain portal that isn't really a portal anymore. So in the middle of the night, Jack finally makes a decision that his mission is more important than his personal wants, and he leaves Ashi at the campfire, and she's kind of upset at him, and he's walking, and then seeing the next episode preview from last week, at the end of episode 8, I was thinking, how is he going to get to this place? Because originally, when he was traveling to this robot burial ground, so I know it's not a robot burial ground, I just like calling it that, because that's what it looks like. But at any rate, before he had to go on this giant quest and giant journey just to reach this place, he had to go through a certain town. He had to cross this magical lake that he couldn't get across unless he rode a certain creature across this lake to get to this island. Or at least we assume that it's an island. Who knows? Maybe this desert is like a back way to that area or something. But I did think it was kind of weird how he just kind of happened upon this area. Like, huge coincidence there. However, I am very glad that they addressed the fact that the Guardians portal might have still existed and said, no, this thing is destroyed, the Guardian is dead. Sorry everybody, but that theory is now debunked. If you haven't seen it, I made a theory video including this portal and others. There are other things in that video and theories and such, but that one has now been debunked. So, and it's kind of disappointing in a way because I was really looking forward to a Jack and Guardian rematch. That would have been so awesome to see. But I guess looking at it in hindsight, for the narrative of this season, it wouldn't really fit, I guess. But anyway, Ashi catches up to Jack and she convinces him to let her help him in his quest. So he's kind of happy about that, and it's nice and everything. But earlier on in the episode, we see Scaramouche finally getting to Aku's lair and telling Aku that Jack doesn't have his sword, which he doesn't know that Jack now has his sword. So at this point, Aku and Scaramouche arrive and kind of talk some smack, and then Jack doesn't even say anything. He just takes his sword out, and Aku's like reeling back and immediately kills Scaramouche for the bad information. That was really funny, and of course, Aku, being scared as he is about to leave, but then he smells Ashi, who has a part of his like DNA or evil essence inside of her. And he finally goes into the story of how the daughters of Aku created the daughters of Aku. And it was pretty interesting because he kind of just like puts some of or part of him or some of his essence in a chalice for them to worship, and then just assumes that one of them drank it while she was pregnant, or she drank it and it made her pregnant or something. But whatever happened, she gave birth to, or all of the women drank it, and they gave birth to these next generation of the daughters of Aku, who they then trained up to go kill Samurai Jack. But that was cool to finally get a full explanation and backstory on that. And kind of up to this point, up to the point where Aku arrives, the episode didn't really seem like it was really going anywhere. Nothing much was happening. Ashi and Jack were just like cleaning themselves up, talking a little bit, and then walking to the robot burial ground. So this is when this kind of story kind of kicks in of this episode, where Aku activates the Aku that is inside Ashi and kind of controls her in a way when Jack is trying to attack Aku, and she blocks his attack. And then against her own will, they start like fighting with the swords. And this is a really cool fight too, where she's screaming that she's not in control of herself. And it's kind of a dire situation because all Jack can really do is defend himself. He doesn't want to hurt her, and he can't go attack Aku because she is attacking him. So it's a really sticky situation for sure. But then a really cool part, and really kind of devastating for a lot of fans of Ashi, was when she transforms into this 100% form of daughter of Aku, whatever you want to call it. It was really cool looking. The transformation was really visually cool to look at, and I didn't really see it coming. I don't know if anybody did. If you did, let me know in the comments. That's a really good call on your part, because I definitely didn't see something like this happening. But I think it's a really interesting concept, which we have seen in Samurai Jack many times before, especially when Jack got infected with Aku's sickness in the Aku infection. Forgot which episode that was, but he started transforming into like an evil Aku-like being, which he eventually internally defeated it. So it's definitely a trope of this entire series of people conquering their demons, conquering their inner darkness, you know? And so I'm really hoping that they're going to do this same kind of thing with Ashi, because the whole thing with Ashi's character is that she's been fighting her demons and the way that she's been raised and fighting her inner darkness. And she was kind of reborn again to good Ashi. But of course, she is still, you know, part Aku. So she still has that to overcome and try to break free of that hold. And during this whole time, Jack kind of slices her a little bit, which, of course, the magical powers of the sword, like, injures the evil part of her and breaks her face out of it a little bit, to where she's able to speak to him and, you know, plead for him to kill her. And this is, like, really sad right here. But this might sound kind of bad, but when she was saying that, I got flashbacks of the Predator of Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, kill me now. So I was kind of torn between, you know, laughing because I thought of that, and then, you know, being depressed at what I was seeing with these characters that I like so much. So the fight between Jack and this Dark Ashi is really cool. The way that she's fighting is really interesting. She does like a spin thing. Anyway, Jack just kind of, after she pleads for him to kill her, he just kind of gives up. And I thought that was kind of just abrupt. I just feel like he didn't really try hard enough to try to save her. although he's been struggling with hurting or killing living things during this season, so it's kind of understandable why he would just not want to hurt her and just kind of drops his sword and gives up. I felt like that was kind of a dumb move, and he could have tried a couple more things, I guess. I guess they could have sacrificed some of the earlier parts of the episode, sped those up a little bit and spent a little more time of him struggling, trying to break her free of this thing. But yeah, I just thought it was a little abrupt. Who knows, maybe next episode will be extra long and he'll take her to the salamander cave, which maybe is still there, and dip her in the fountains and have her meditate or something in their nexus. Maybe their portal is still there or something, who knows? But that's probably not going to happen. So Aku now has Jack's sword, and who knows what's going to happen. Maybe the Scotsman's phantom will show up, knock the sword out of Aku's hand. Who knows? Maybe the Scotsman has been gathering all of Jack's friends to create this army to go help him. But how do they know where he's at right now? It's a really dire situation, so who knows what's going to happen. It's really intense, but for this episode as a whole, I felt like it was a little lackluster. I really liked the second half of it with the whole revelation of the Daughters of Aku's origin story, the transformation of Ashi into Dark Ashi. I think that's a good name. I like calling her Dark Ashi. I think I'll call her that from now on, unless there's an official name. So by no means is it the worst episode in the season, definitely. I really still enjoyed it. Some of the dialogue and imagery did contribute to the themes of the episode, but I felt like it could have been tightened up a little bit to make a little bit more room for Jack having like a mental struggle trying to help Ashi pull herself out of the darkness. But of course, let me know what you thought of the episode below. Do you agree that the first half was a little bit draggy? Do you think that Jack could have done more to help her? Do you think he did give up too easily like I do? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you liked the review. If you did, go ahead and hit the like button, share the video out, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you later.